Hi, I'm Seb and I make stuff. Today we're going to be taking some XPS foam and carving it into a rune stone for our Witchlight Carnival. Not to mention using some texture paints to add some magical touches to help bring it into the Feywild. This XPS foam is great material, very common in the craft and easy to use. It takes shape well and is easy to carve. Make sure to use a sharp knife for this and watch your fingers. Now that I've brought it down to the size I like, I'm going to start carving away and adding some shapes. Once I'm happy with it, I'm going to use a ball of foil to add some texture. By rolling this around on the flat surfaces, you give a nice dimpled rock texture. And now to steal some runes that I found on Google Images. This one means hill. So basically I draw out the shape, carve it out with the scalpel, and then go in and make it deeper using a pencil or a pen. Then I repeat this for a few of the other flat surfaces. Here we have stone and mountain. Now to protect the foam from the spray paint later on, I give the entire thing a coat in a Mod Podge and black paint mix. If you want to know more about this, have a look at Black Magic Craft. And now to glue it down to a metal washer. This is mostly so it can be held while I spray it, while also giving the hidden advantage of magnetizing its base. I coated the whole thing in a Wraithbone white from Citadel, and then came back in with a Lawful white, before adding a bright gold layer of Retributor armor. And then blotching on some highlights of Auric Armor Gold. Before moving on to the base with an attempt at a DIY Sculpt-A-Mold. I screwed up and didn't add any glue to the mix, so it ended up crumbling apart, and I had to redo it with a PVA and Mod Podge mix. This one worked a lot better. Basically, I just used this mix to build up around the edges, but unfortunately I did it out of frame. The set time on this stuff was pretty great, and I'm going to be using it a lot more in future builds. And now to move on to the secret weapon, the Agrellan Earth. This stuff's the Crackle paint from Citadel's texture range, and it's going to give us that special crackle of gold spread throughout this entire rune. Unfortunately, this colour was a little bit light for what I wanted in the end, but that's alright because I've ordered some darker colours and a Crackle medium to mix up my own Crackle paint colours. And now to move on to the best part, the gardening. The first layer is a hit of Sterling mud from Citadel's texture range, and then I just put a heap of foam flock over the edges, before carefully placing a couple of smaller boulders and adding some more foam flock and flowers. As usual, I go a little bit overboard with the grass tufts and the flowers, but this is where I'm gonna add my special Feywild touch. And using some contrast paints, I'm gonna paint up these 3D printed tiny little miniatures to add that extra something. As usual, this is fiddly work, but in the end, these little tiny details add so much life to this scatter and really do bring it into that Feywild magical realm. This is a great little piece of scatter terrain that could be used across a variety of different campaigns. For me, I'm going to be using it for the Wild Beyond the Witchlight Carnival, but it could be just as easily used for a magical shrine, a jungle situation, or anywhere you could imagine to use it in your game. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you next time on Seb Makes Stuff.